Hi. So I thought I would sit here and do a quick review of the full season of Ahsoka. Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka Tano. The Disney Plus miniseries is now officially over. I just finished watching the very last episode, and I have quite a few thoughts. Now, first and foremost, I do want to say that I will give a warning before I do any spoilers, but I'll give a brief overview of what I thought of this series in and of itself. And before I do, I need to contextualize this with what kind of Star Wars fan I am. All right. I am an old Star Wars fan. I was born in '82, so I was born after the first one came out. I think when Empire came out? I can't remember when Empire came out, but I grew up watching Star Wars. I do not like any of the third trilogy, 7, 8, 9. I don't like them. I just don't like them. And, it's okay. I don't have to like them. I just don't like them. I don't like them at all. I do enjoy the originals, but I'm very critical of even the originals. The prequels have a certain type of charm, but especially like them coming out at the age that I was at, I did not like them either. However, I am a big Star Wars fan. I've read many of the books. I played Star Wars Galaxies for 9 years. I really legitimately love things like Rogue One. I loved Andor. It was probably one of the best series that they've done so far. I'm very lukewarm on Mandalorian. Boba Fett was tolerable, etc., etc. I suspiciously kind of really liked Obi-Wan, even though a lot of people really didn't like it. There were problems with it, of course, but I thought it was pretty good. And so with that in mind, I know a lot about the lore of Star Wars. And I was very upset when they were coming out with a new trilogy through Disney. And they basically said that, everything that was done in the books, we're just going to throw that out. And one of the biggest things that bothered me about it was that they were going to be removing a character by the name of Grand Admiral Thrawn, who was the heir to the Empire, in some fantastic books that effectively worked as a trilogy after the original movies. And they were very good. Very good. So the idea that they were just going to remove this storyline and remove Thrawn, I thought was a huge mistake. Now, they still have not, they're never going to use those books as movies, but they did bring Thrawn back. And knowing that that was going to be the case, and hearing the name Thrawn in The Mandalorian Season 2, when introduced to live-action Ahsoka Tano, I was very excited. I was very happy. So I went into this really wanting to love it. And I do, and I don't. I do and I don't. There are many, many things about this series that I legitimately love. There are aspects to it that I think are fantastic, especially some of the casting was incredible. Ray Stevenson, I absolutely love him, R.I.P. Diana Lee Inosanto as Morgan Elspeth was really good. I didn't really feel one way or the other about her in The Mandalorian, but as it went on in this one, I actually really did legitimately like her character, and I thought it was pretty fascinating. Let's see, Rosario Dawson, of course, is amazing. It helps that I have a huge crush on her. And I don't want to ruin anything. Lars Mikkelsen, which everybody knows, Thrawn shows up, so I'm not spoiling anything. Lars Mikkelsen was amazing as Grand Admiral Thrawn, and it actually, I can't get into too many spoilers because I don't want to. But I can talk about the things that I do like and I don't like before I get into the spoiler territory, where I'll explain it. The world building that's done in this, bringing in aspects of the Star Wars universe that we've never seen in live action, is fantastic. It's really good. The set pieces, once you get about halfway through the series, the setting of it is kind of drab and uninspired, But prior to that, was actually pretty great. It was pretty cool. I very much liked it. I thought it was cool. There does seem to be a tendency these days in a lot of movies and TV shows where if you have enough stuff happening, you can just fill in the lack of background. And I'm just kind of noticing that trope, so that's probably why that kind of colored my opinion. The writing in it is where things get a little testy, because there are certain aspects of it that are written that I think are good, that are really awesome, especially when it comes to the setting, the world building, the display of certain concepts I think are done really well. But the overarching personal plot of several characters was enough that it took me from really loving this to loving it and having a big, glaring, obnoxious hole that really, it didn't sour it, it didn't ruin it, but I can't stop thinking about it, and it makes me bummed. So hopefully that will explain basically kind of like where I'm coming from in this. So yeah, if you're a Star Wars fan, especially if you're somebody who has like experienced the expanded universe, then it's definitely worth a watch. And I think just in general, it's pretty much well worth a watch, so long as you could be a little forgiving. I don't know if I can. I'm gonna try a little forgiving with some of the decisions in the plot. It's not that they're plot holes. It's just I question why they did it that way. But I'll get into that right now. So from here on out, there is going to be spoilers. If you haven't watched it, you should not watch the rest of this video. It's just simple as that. Okay. So yeah, 3, 2, 1, and here we go. So I've never seen Star Wars Rebels, and a lot of the cast comes from Star Wars Rebels. I've also not seen the latter end of the Clone Wars cartoon. For some reason, watching Star Wars as a cartoon is just kind of like off for me. I still want to try. I still plan to watch them, but there's a million other things that I'm watching before I get around to it, which is kind of obnoxious. So that being said, there's a lot of characters in this that were in Rebels, including Sabine Wren. You've got Hera Syndulla, you've got Ezra Bridger, and you've got did I just say all of them? I guess I said all of them. Yeah, for the most part. I guess Jason Syndulla as well. I don't know nothing about that character. And for the most part, they seem to, as far as I understand them from the cartoon, they played their characters really, really well. And that's good. That's cool. I really appreciate that. It was very strange to see Mary Elizabeth Winstead playing a general, because she still looks just so young. But I thought she did fine. I thought she did pretty good. I don't know anything about the Ezra Bridger character, but the guy who played him was pretty decent. Sabine Wren is where things get really, really frustrating. And it's the writing in this character that makes me have a bit of a problem with this series. Natasha Liu Bordizzo, I hope I said that right. I feel like she did a good job as far as how the script was written and how the character is supposed to be portrayed. But I did find the character a little bit off-putting. I understand when you're writing a character that's going to be impulsive, makes bad decisions, like you need that sometimes for certain types of plot. Makes sense. She is overwhelmingly guided by her passions for her friends. And it's her impulsiveness that's born out of a lot of different things. You know, the destruction of her family and Mandalore and all this and all that, to then cling on to these people that are her new family. So she'll do almost anything to try and preserve that family. And having that big gaping hole of Ezra Bridger, who disappeared fighting Grand Admiral Thrawn, it makes sense that she would be so obsessive about it that she could make rash decisions. But the big problem comes down to, I think it's like episode 4 or 5. She's given basically a choice to save the entire galaxy, effectively, by preventing the one person who could rekindle the Empire, prevent them from coming back. And of course, it means that the whole series would just end there for the most part by just destroying this one little device. That's all she has to do, just destroy it. And she's right there. She's right about to do it. But she doesn't. And she just gives the device to the evil people so that the plot can continue. And this is a terrible writing decision. Terrible. The reason why is when you do that, it basically makes Sabine an idiot. And I don't think the character's supposed to be an idiot. I think she's supposed to be passionate. Very passionate. I think that, and it's not just a betrayal of like everybody in the galaxy. It's also a betrayal of her master, Ahsoka Tano, all the rest of her friends that she cares about that are still there. You know, it's a whole lot of it, and it could have been fixed so simply. All it would have needed was something else, some sort of way to tap into her weaknesses. I don't want to say it's weakness, but you know, her passion for her family, where she hesitates just enough that it can be exploited and they get the device. And then I would have quite literally no problem with this show. None at all. None. That's all I need. And so she does make the choice, and it really bugged me. And after 3 more episodes, I'm like, okay, all right, well, you know, whatever. If that's the only problem. But then at the last episode, Ahsoka Tano makes an excuse for why she did it, you know, and you did good because you got our friend home. Well, yeah, you got your one friend home while stranding 3 others, and also unleashed an unmitigated evil on all of your other friends. Like, no, it's not okay. You know, it's not like, oh well, it's very, very strange, very, very strange, and I that it brought it back up again, and it sours the milk a little bit, but it doesn't ruin the show, but it is a very big complaint that I have. So we'll get a little bit more into the nitty gritty. I don't know what they were doing with Ray Stevenson's character. I wish we could find out because I was fascinated by his character. I thought he was good. I didn't really know what he was doing, but he performed fantastic. He was great. The inclusion of Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker and the way that they did it, because there's an episode that's almost entirely with Ahsoka Tano is a dead Jedi purgatory, and she has to kind of go through her past, do some soul searching, and basically have this like existential spiritual crisis. I guess that it's implied that now she's a Jedi Master after she completes it. But the process of that and the acting by Hayden Christensen almost made me like Anakin Skywalker. Isn't that close? I mean, and his performance in Obi-Wan actually was really good too. And that's great because I did not like him in the prequels at all. At all. Sorry, just didn't like it. So that was actually really nice. That was good. I thought that was pretty fantastic. The other one, though, that I was mostly excited about was the moment I first saw the Great Mothers. I was very thrilled, and there's a few reasons why. Number one, Dathomir and the Night Sister Force Witches is something that I've always loved in Star Wars lore. I love the idea of Force Witches. I think that's incredible. Like black magic, necromancer, you know, witches that live in this desolate planet. And we haven't even seen Dathomir yet. I can't wait to see that. But seeing them for the first time was really cool. Those are some of my favorite in the expanded universe lore. Night Sisters. Oh, so cool. And the other reason why I really liked it as well is that the central one, I guess the character's name is Clotho, is played by my biggest Hollywood crush, which is Claudia Black. So I was like, yay. I can tell it's you underneath the makeup. Gorgeous woman of amazing acting chops. She's great. Yeah. No, I thought that was good. The other thing, though, that I wanted to make mention of before I wrap this up is the fights. The fights are really interesting. So Rosario Dawson knows how to handle a lightsaber pretty good, and she's obviously done really, really well. But you can tell in some episodes versus others, or in some scenes versus others, that there's something kind of weird going on, and some of her fighting feels kind of phoned in, and I'm not really sure what it is. But I've noticed that it's something very specific. For example, when there's a huge group of stormtroopers, it's just very uninspired the way like she's moving, and I'm not sure what that is. But then you have fights between Ahsoka Tano and Morgan Elsbeth, Diana Lee Inosanto, and they're fantastic. Like, she does very good, and I don't know what that difference is. It seemed like every time Rosario Dawson was doing a choreographed fight scene with like one or two people, she did awesome. And I'm only assuming that's because there was like a really good amount of practice in that. But then when you have to go up against, say like stormtroopers, and you're just, pretendy popping blaster bolts back and it didn't feel as natural. But when she had somebody to work off of and make this choreographed dance of a fight, she did incredible. It was really good. Sabine's fight scenes were not great. A very, very big props to Ray Stevenson for doing pretty good. The Ivana Sakno, who plays his apprentice, Shin Hati, she was pretty decent. She's okay. But really, Diana Lee Inosanto was amazing when she did her fight scenes. And I thought that was interesting. So I went back and I looked at the Mandalorian episode that she was in. And then I was looking at these fight scenes. And that's not a stunt double. That's not like, there's nobody standing in for her. And so I looked her up, and she's the goddaughter of Bruce Lee. Like her father was Bruce Lee's protege, this Filipino martial artist. So, and she's a legitimate stunt woman and martial arts instructor, and like was Woman of the Year at Black Belt magazine. Like, okay, obviously. And so I really do absolutely love watching her fight, because she can move. She's incredible. And the very last episode, the fight between her and Ahsoka Tano was phenomenal. It was just phenomenal. So yeah, it's a trip. It's a trip. And yeah, overall, again, as I was saying, it's good. It's a big sore spot in the plot writing that makes me really upset. But other than that, it didn't ruin it. And between the Return of Thrawn, the performances by Lars Mikkelsen, the performances by Ray Stevenson, it's really well worth watching, especially if you're a big Star Wars nerd like me. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with it next. Are we going to have like a series where it's Ahsoka versus the Shin Hati people? I don't really want that. Not really. I think I'm good. With there just being this one season. We'll see. It might have been renewed for another one. But the truth is, because I am such a Star Wars fan, even when they might be bad, I'm still going to watch them. I have to, because I am a Star Wars fan, and I have to know if they're good or if they're bad. So yeah, that's my review. Take it or leave it. Leave some comments on what you thought of it, or were there any high points for you that I didn't touch on? If you have any culture war comments, I don't want to hear them. I'm not going to care. I don't care about any of that. And honestly, I don't think there was anything like that in this series. So yeah, just keep that one yourself. But yeah, otherwise, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah. See you later.